Hezbollah has publicly voiced its support for initiatives aimed at establishing a ceasefire in Lebanon, as stated by a senior official on Tuesday. This marks the first occasion the group has endorsed a ceasefire independent of the situation in Gaza. Deputy Secretary General Naim Qassem indicated, "We support the political efforts led by Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri to reach a ceasefire. Once this agreement is secured and the diplomatic efforts bear fruit, we will discuss the details and make a collective decision." Hezbollah commenced hostilities against Israel on October 8th of last year, demonstrating solidarity with Hamas, which had attacked Israel the prior day. Initially, Hezbollah suggested it would cease attacks contingent upon a ceasefire with Hamas. However, Israel has maintained its demand that Hezbollah's conflict remain separate from its engagement with Hamas. In a speech commemorating the first anniversary of Hezbollah's involvement in the conflict, Qassem did not specify that a ceasefire in Gaza was a prerequisite for a ceasefire in Lebanon. This was his second address following the assassination of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah by Israeli forces late last month. In response, Israel has conducted limited ground operations in southern Lebanon, while Hezbollah has continued to launch rockets into northern Israel. Nabih Berri, leader of the Shiite Amal party and an ally of Hezbollah, has been instrumental in the ceasefire negotiations, which have involved mediation by Western powers. Lebanese Foreign Minister Abdallah Abu Habib stated in a recent CNN interview that Nasrallah had agreed to a temporary ceasefire proposal put forth by US President Joe Biden, French President Emmanuel Macron, and other allies at the United Nations General Assembly. However, Nasrallah was subsequently killed by Israeli forces shortly thereafter. US officials conveyed to CNN that the Biden administration is not currently prioritizing the ceasefire agreement. Instead, US efforts are focused on managing Israel's military actions in Lebanon and addressing issues related to Iran, rather than seeking to resolve the escalating conflict. In an interview with Sky News, Israeli ambassador to the UK Tzipi Hotovely dismissed Abu Habib's assertion as unfounded and asserted that Nasrallah had never consented to a ceasefire. On Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced via video that Israel had targeted Hashem Safiadina, who was deemed a potential successor to Nasrallah. The Israeli military is still verifying whether the strike on Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in Beirut resulted in Safiadin's death. Netanyahu directly addressed the Lebanese populace, urging them to confront Hezbollah and reclaim their nation, cautioning that failure to do so could lead to a conflict akin to that in Gaza. He emphasized that Christians, Druze, and Muslims, both Sunni and Shia, are enduring the ramifications of Hezbollah's conflict with Israel. He called for action to prevent Lebanon from descending into a prolonged conflict that could result in devastation comparable to that in Gaza. The Lebanese Ministry of Health reported that Israeli military actions against Hezbollah have resulted in over 1,400 fatalities in Lebanon. Additionally, more than 1.2 million people have been displaced since the conflict escalated last month. Despite indications of ceasefire discussions, Qassem's address maintained a resolute tone, reaffirming Hezbollah's commitment and capability to persist in its conflict with Israel. He asserted, "If the enemy continues its provocations, the outcome on the battlefield will be decisive, and that battlefield belongs to us." Concurrently, Hezbollah executed a significant barrage of rockets targeting the Israeli cities of Haifa and Kiryat, one of the most intense assaults since the conflict's inception. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, reported that many rockets were either intercepted by defense systems or landed in unpopulated areas, although at least 2 structures in Kiryat Yam and Kiryat Motzkin sustained direct hits. On the same day, the Israeli military announced the escalation of localized, limited, targeted operations in southwestern Lebanon.